is Coley, and welcome back to Undercover Reading. We are at Chapter 3, Section 7, and Episode 15. We're about to find out a little bit more about this mission to Esperanza, what it means to Brandon and what it means to his father. Dad thumbed open our common room and motioned me to one of the small sofas that faced each other across a polished metal table. He sat opposite, elbows on knees. You studied the colonization movement in 4th grade, right? Just Luna settlement, I said. I know there were about 400 habitable planets in the survey, right? He nodded. And 4 million settlers eventually went out, a sustaining population of 10,000 to each one. But there was one exception. Let me guess. Esperanza? He touched his nose with a fingertip. Got it in one. He stood up. You want something to drink? He gestured to the mini fridge. No, I'm fine. So what was so special about that planet? Dad settled back on the edge of the sofa. His fingers played imaginary piano scales on his knees. Up till then, only one type of colonist had ever been delivered to an Earth-like planet. You know, the whole gene mod thing was complicated. Politically, as well as scientifically, I mean. Yeah, we sort of covered that in my science and an ethical society class. Some of these quote-unquote Earth-like planets are frozen ice balls, rich in minerals below the permafrost, so a huge opportunity for prospectors. Some are worlds of hot airless deserts. Some landless globes with only a world ocean. Some oceanless worlds of volcanic mountains and endless green plains, broken by salt lakes and rivers. Yeah, I get it, Dad. Why didn't Earth terraform them, make them more livable? Same reason we didn't terraform Luna. Time and money. Hundreds of years, quadrillions of dollars. It's too hard on a human timescale, and people were anxious to get out there, and practice their own ways of life. So, enter gene modding. Faster, cheaper, better, huh? The old SSC motto? Dad chuckled. That was NASA's motto, before SSC was even dreamed of. But anyway, in one generation, the unborn children could all be tailored to fit the chosen planet, while the parents used mechanical aids to help them breathe, swim, walk, maintain temperature and everything. Whatever was needed. The struggle was worth it, they believed, because they could pass the new world onto their genetically customized children, and these new subspecies of humans would spread across the stars. Dang poetic, Dad, but what about Esperanza? Why were 2 kinds of humans settled there? Esperanza was perfect for an experiment, unique, with a single habitable continent and a vast warm sea. What a waste to leave either one unoccupied, they thought, so one group of colonists was gene-modded for life in the ocean, and one for life on the land. Esperanza means hope in the language of the Spanish people. SSC named the planet in the hope that the 2 human varieties could live together, or rather, apart, in harmony, trade, and mutual support. And I guess that didn't end up working so well. I knew the planet had been described as war-torn. I'd never been told it was an interspecies battle. At first, yes, it worked, but that was 100 years ago, generations. So what happened? I asked. Dad sighed. The sea folk, the pescados, aren't in fact fish-like at all. Here, look at this. He stood and switched on the sitting room wall screen with a remote and searched for an image. I walked over for a closer look. That's a pescado. It had a face that could only be called cute, with large dark eyes, no visible nose, and a wide, smiling mouth. The skin was dark brown and rubbery like a dolphin's. The 5-fingered hands and 4-toed feet were nailless and deeply webbed. Hips and ankles bent at the wrong angles. Can they still walk? I asked. No, they can't, Dad answered. Their legs and pelvises aren't weight-bearing on land. They're obligate salt ocean dwellers. You can't see it in this picture, but they have a blowhole, like other aquatic mammals. And they have salt-secreting glands so they can drink seawater. Handy. But the land presented a very different challenge, being so hot and dry. Like, totally opposite. Dad pulled up a new photo. Whoa! I took a half step back in surprise. Sequeunos. Sequeunos? Am I saying that right? It looks like something out of a nightmare. He suits his environment perfectly, Dad explained. Nostril slits, leathery skin, lipless mouth, the eye membrane. They're all adaptations to reduce evaporation and preserve moisture. Made sense. So why did they start a war? Their environments are completely separate. Dad tapped off the screen and moved back to his sofa perch. His chest lifted in a deep breath. Wars are always about resources, one way or another. The original bargain was that the pescados would live off the bounty of the sea, farming transplanted fish or crustaceans as well as native sea plants. The sequuinos would practice xericulture, that's low-water farming, and cultivate edible insects for protein. Bugs? My stomach protested. It's far more water and energy efficient than farming animals for meat. But what a gross diet. I couldn't imagine. Dad laughed. Maybe for our culture. But you eat other arthropods like tank shrimp, crab, and lobster? Oh, okay, I get your point. I shivered, wondering about the grasshopper pie all over again. Still little crunchy insects. Better than big gooey ones, Dad teased. There are successful insectivore colonists in several systems. However, the sequuinos found xericulture much more difficult than planned. The immigrants and their first-generation children lived with serious scarcity, hunger, and even malnutrition. Well, that stinks, Dad went on in a somber voice. They saw a much easier alternative. My stomach took a dive. Oh my God, they didn't start eating the pescados, did they? No. They began poaching on the pescados' livelihood, though, stealing their fish. And when the pescados' carefully balanced ecosystem started depleting, they foresaw, no doubt accurately, their imminent starvation and extinction. Dang. Indeed, dang. Once the sequuinos got a taste for fish, there was no going back to the original plan. By then, second-generation colonists were arguing that they'd never signed on to their grandparents' lousy plan. No kidding, I'd rather have trout than tarantulas, I said. Me too. Dad slipped off his shoes. The smell of hot socks wafted my way. Anyway, to their credit, the pescados tried to negotiate a slowdown so they could rebuild the fish schools. They even offered to split the fish population to support both races once it had recovered. But the sequuinos refused to wait. Their children were dying now. But, I didn't see a way out. But then they'd all starve eventually. The whole planet, both types. He touched his nose again. And that's why the sequuinos decided to eliminate the competition by mining the water with homemade explosives. And why the pescados decided to move themselves and their fish to deeper waters and retaliate with the only weapon they had. They salt-bombed the land farms to poison the soil. My cheeks must have gone paler. But then the sequuinos would have nothing to fall back on, even if they did agree to leave the fish alone. They'd starve. Dad nodded grimly. You got the idea. It was at the point where they both had figured it's them or us. So I don't get it. I shook my head, trying to make sense of the senseless. Which ones are the good guys? Which side is Earth helping? Sometimes it's not that simple, Brandon. Sometimes there aren't good guys and bad guys. Just people getting in each other's way while they're trying to survive. Both sides were right, and both sides were wrong. And did you know about this before you went out last time? I mean, were you prepared for what you would find? Dad grunted. Nope, not at all. The war started after the last supply drop, so we were caught completely by surprise. No communication, no advance warning. We had to play it by ear. He fell into a moody silence then, the kind I had learned to leave alone. After Dad walked me to my room, ruffled my hair, and kissed the top of my head goodnight, it dawned on me he'd never answered my last question. Mom had lost her life, airlifting supplies, weapons too, to save the lives of one set of colonists. Did it matter which ones? It was easy to feel sympathy for the pescados, cute as chocolate dolphins. They'd been minding their own business till the poaching, and they'd try to meet halfway. On the other hand, the Sequayunos were desperate, watching their children die from starvation, bellies swollen, eye membranes retracting, skin peeling. Horrible, impossible. I shivered and slid under the thermal sheet. I set it to high. It was so unfair, the whole migration movement. When you thought about it, here were these regular humans, genetically changing their own children, dooming them to bizarre lives in strange bodies on distant worlds. What kind of person could make that choice? Someone brave? Or someone heartless? And how did the children feel? Trapped by their parents' decisions. We have come to the end of chapter 3. Please subscribe and please come back for another episode. Thank you.